Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic. What's the most baddest thing you've accidentally said in the heat of the moment? Around the time I was 12, I was at a family party with my dad and aunts / uncles. My dad told me that one of my uncles owned several bars. My response. Oh, it's good that he got into a business that he knows something about. I had no idea what I really was saying. I thought I was giving him a compliment. Kids can give the most innocently yet devastatingly accurate assessments possible. They're like cursed mirrors that reflect back all of your flaws, both physically and philosophically. Can confirm. Middle school teacher here. I tell a lot of dad jokes while teaching and the kids always laugh, or groan laugh. Early in my career I made the mistake of saying geez if only my partner found me this funny. To which one of the mousy kids replied maybe he would if you started grading him. Oof. Edit, well, at least it got me some internet points. Too bad this was a few years back or I'd rub this gold in her smarmy little face. Who's funny now, Jenny? Who's funny now? In case anyone's wondering, no, the kid's name was not Jenny. And also she was great and I miss her. When I was young I told my mom that when I grow up I want to be fat like you. She tried to explain why it's not good but I didn't understand it because she was the best pillow. My GF, at her first day as a waitress, had a kid look at her and go this isn't what you wanted to do with your life, huh? This one had a little setup, but I think it's funny enough to share. At a family vacation, my grandmother was giving me grief for not remembering her birthday. I've never been good with birthdays. After telling me it was the password to her phone, she wanted me to take a picture with it, which is why I needed the password. While she was distracted, I opened up the settings, changed her password to my birth date, and then set her phone down. 15 minutes later, she's trying to get into her phone and it's not working. Suspecting mischief, she grumpily asks me if I've changed the password to her phone in front of our entire family. I admit that I did. Well, what is it? She asked impatiently. It's my birth date. She sat there in stunned silence for about 15 seconds not being able to remember my birthday before our family exploded laughing. Was a good time. Biggest reverse card devil mayo. Draw 4 or admit you fucked up haha. We had a overly dramatic neighbor who always claimed she was sick and dying. My mom came to see my kids in the middle of battling stage 4 lung cancer. The neighbor pulled her, "Hi Rita, so glad to see you. Did Jason tell you that I am dying?" My mom looked right at her, smiled and said me too, dear. But not today. Never more proud of her. That's some Walter White shit right there. God bless your mum. You're goddamn right. About 25 years ago, I was in grade 9 and my parents bought me a pair of Air Maximum. I'm a female, but I had picked a pair of Air Max that were supposed to be for males because I preferred the color of the shoes. I was super pumped to get those shoes. We didn't have lots of money and it was a pretty extravagant purchase. Anyway, I was at our local shopping center and I ran into a group of guys I went to high school with. They were a real bunch of assholes that thrived on dumping on other people. One of the guys had on the same pair of shoes and said to me, "Do you know you're wearing men's shoes?" To which I quickly replied, "Then why the fuck are you wearing them?" The other guys pissed themselves laughing and it still stands out in my mind after all these years. Edit, wow, thanks for awards. Man, that was ice cold. I bet his friends still bring that one up. If I was best man at the guy's wedding I'd probably even sneak a reference into the speech. You'd be the soul of the party. I was eating McDonald's with a few friends and I started choking. The only thing I managed to say in the whole ordeal was "I'm MC Chokey." Fucking gold. How'd he die? I dunno, he choked to death while his friends pissed themselves laughing so damn hard. This was back in my junior year of college. At the beginning of the semester I was introducing myself to my very intimidating biochemistry professor. Guy was a genius but also a hard ass. Students were all terrified to ask him questions because he was known for grilling people and if they hadn't made enough effort beforehand he'd send them out of his office to learn on their own. As I walked into his office he was sorting through some boxes and made a really sarcastic comment regarding stuffing me in the box and shipping it off somewhere. He looked up for my response and I just blurted out without thinking I wouldn't mind going somewhere nice. Dude laughed so hard it actually startled me a little. We got along pretty well for the remainder of the semester, so it all worked out really well. It's amazing what a little laughter can do to ease tension. He needed that. In another universe, I wouldn't mind going somewhere nice. What the fuck you said? Nothing. Bye sir. There's no way you're this much of an asshole naturally, you must go home and practice. I said this to a co-worker who was throwing a fit and bullying a quieter co-worker because he was pissed off. He had a habit of just being a giant douche anytime things didn't go his way. This comment pissed him off so much he just stormed into his office and stayed there the rest of the day. Win for the rest of us. He was in there practicing some more. I normally never call anyone out. I'm the type that just sits quietly and watches what everyone else in response. But this one time, it actually happened. I was working as an unloaded for a freight truck for a store. I was in a team of about 8 people. This one guy decided to buy a Bluetooth boombox for the truck bay for when we're unloading, and he constantly played vulgar rap, which, listen, if that's what you listen to, that's cool, but it's kinda unfair that he was the only person using it and he was constantly listening to one thing. Finally one day, one of our guys hooked up to it while the one guy went to the restroom and turned on Owner of a Lonely Heart. He comes back and says, "Who the fuck was the jackass that turned this shit on?" And I just came out of nowhere and said, "The jackass who got tired of your shit and did everyone in here a favor and turned something else on." At work, when in a somewhat heated discussion of why things kept going wrong at a small company, upper management said something to the effect, "Why does XYZ keep happening? It's idiot proof," and I replied, "We need to stop hiring new idiots to test if that's true." Edit. So the reply seems split about 50-50. It's understanding what I meant. I'd like to address a couple replies instead of individually. The context was, please stop trying to find people to actually test if it's idiot proof. Please hire someone who is not a bigger idiot than the previous hire that was let go for being an idiot. First, I work in a very small company and all of us are close enough outside of work that this wouldn't get me fired or reprimanded or anything. Second, my point was that we should hire smarter people in instead of any Joe that applied, and then the procedure would be idiot proof. We just needed a slightly smarter idiot. Thirdly, the Douglas Adams quote is what I had in mind when I said it, but I couldn't remember at the time where I had heard it from. Thanks to those that reminded me. Totally cool insult. I feel the satisfaction although I wasn't there and I don't know you or the whole context. I'm a firefighter, and during a car accident that turned super chaotic, everyone was screaming at each other and getting all rowdy. For whatever reason I decided to tell I'm the lieutenant this is my scene. Everyone stopped and I just cringed at how stupid and dramatic it sounded as well as how effective it worked. Haha. At work at a company meeting, someone was presenting something cool they volunteered to work on and finished. They then explained things they thought they could do better in a self-deprecating way, and a bunch of other people started railing into his work with petty criticism. It was definitely good work, though, and a thought just hit me so I blurted it out. Sometimes done is the best feature. A bunch of people laughed and then the criticism stopped. People gave him kudos and we moved on. Not really badass, but I was surprised this thought somehow came out fully formed, like it was some phrase I've been saying for decades. I guess I was just realizing how many people don't finish anything they start. So done suddenly seemed like a pretty damn good feature. Give the man some credit for finishing the damn thing. This is actually really inspirational. I'm a perfectionist and often hate stuff I work on so much I abandon it. I'm going to try and internalize this message. I was the lawyer in this criminal case arising out the Standing Rock events. That morning, some Lakota people had given us this traditional blessing to wish us well for the trial, and there were 5 to 7 activists sitting in the courtroom to watch and support us. It happened that there was a certain digital document that I needed before the jury got back from a break, and we didn't know just when the break would be over. I remember turning to the supporters holding up a thumb drive, and telling them exactly what I needed from the office across the street and how to get it. I held out the thumb drive, and with all the intensity of an ancient general sending his troops into battle said, "Fastest runner. Go now." This tiny little young woman grabbed the thumb drive and hauled ass. She got back before the jury returned. Good for you. How'd the trial go? After the jury walked him, they gave him a piece of their pizza. When I was a broke college student, a wealthy older lawyer hit my car. No damage to his, but mine was crumpled, and I spent all of my no money at the time keeping it on the road. I was going literally 7 miles per hour in a parking lot and he was entirely at fault. We exchanged insurance info and I had to get a rental car until mine was fixed. He dodged the insurance calls for about 2 weeks, forcing me to pay out of pocket for the rental, about $600, which I definitely didn't have. I knew this guy was an asshole snooty lawyer. My dad is a court attorney, and while I have never used this flex, I finally had to ask my dad to call him and talk some lawyer at him. 15 minutes later I get a call and insurance will go forward. Fast forward like 8 years, I'm bartending at a swanky lounge where a Chamber of Commerce event is going on. Just for local business people to rub elbows and network. This lawyer douche is really feeling himself and charming the room. He orders a glass of wine from me and then stops and says, "Hey, miss, do I know you?" So I came back loudly with, "Well, not really, but you hit my car in a parking lot a few years ago when I was a broke college student and stuck me with the bill. Do you wanna open a tab for the wine or close out now?" He did not open a tab. Edit, you guys seemed to like this one, so I have a bonus for you. Back somewhere around 2005 I went to see a band play and 30 Seconds to Mars was opening for them. Jared Leto was in that band, and at the time Lindsay Lohan was dating him. I live not far from where she grew up, and just a few days before a friend told me that two acted like an enormously entitled bitch towards her a few days ago when they were walking their dogs, something about refusing autographs that no one asked for. We got right up to the front during their set, gee, they were so bad, so we could be in place for the next band. Right behind the barrier was Lindsay watching the set. I motioned her over and asked her to take a photo. She starts yelling like, "OMG, I'm just normal person trying to watch my BF, leave me alone." Exactly the reaction I was hoping for. I put on my best innocent confused face and said I just wanted a pic with my boyfriend since we made it to the front row. And then said, "I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were someone famous or something." She went backstage after that. Honestly, had never felt so cool. Edit 2 shit gold. Gotta learn what that means now. Can't wait to tell the boss at that job that my bitchy attitude in fact will eventually earn me something. This might be my favorite in the thread, honestly. My parents are pretty well off, but I always worked my way through school. One summer I visited my parents for the summer and they brought me out to dinner with their super rich friends who were cooing over me and wanting to set me up with their son. The next day the same people didn't recognize me because I was working for the caterer at the event they attended, and wait staff were invisible to them. Like, I made eye contact and they weren't pretending not to notice me, they just didn't recognize me. I would have loved to have an opportunity to shut them down. My mom's best friend and the person from whom I got my middle name pretended she didn't know me when I worked as catering server at one of her parties. When I greeted her, she glared at me and ordered me to get her something. She was angry that I dared address her.